Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Welcome back to Casually Spiraling with me, Julie Bishop, just a girl in this world trying to make sense of life, dating, money, relationships, identity, literally all of the things. I've learned that my thoughts don't always land with the people around me. So I'm here to break it all down, talk it out, probably will be oversharing, and maybe find some who don't think I'm totally crazy after all. Welcome back, everyone. We're on episode 5. Let's go. It is officially the holiday season. It's December. It's cozy, comfy. Grab your sweatpants, get into bed, light a candle. Well, that's kind of maybe getting a little intimate, but that's okay. We can get intimate. How's everyone doing? I am so happy to be back. I am, if you're seeing the social media clips, sitting in the middle on some hardwood floors because that's the dedication that I'm giving to you and to this podcast, if I'd say so myself. But no, this place that I'm staying at for this dog, they don't have any table or chairs or anything, and I needed light, so I'm sitting by a window in the middle on the hardwood floors. In case you're wondering, if you see it on social media, and if you're not following the social media, then I'm sorry, what are you doing? Grow up and go follow Casually Spiraling on TikTok and Instagram. Thank you very much. Thank you. I wanted to start by getting into something that what I'm spiraling about today. I'm spiraling about, okay, so when you're trying to call either your doctor or a company, a customer service, this or that, literally anything. Today was for me and my doctor and trying to get through to actually speaking to a human. And it's like the robot's asking you these questions and they're not getting you anywhere, and the robot wants to help you, but you just want to speak to someone and you're just speak to a representative. And the robot's like, I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Let's try again. Press 1 for this, press 2 for that. And you're just speak to a representative. And the robot's like, I'm not quite sure about that. Let's try again. And you're just speak to a representative. Just literally screaming that on the phone, just trying to get to talk to someone, any human. Yeah, that was me. And I hate that. I hate how often that we have to do that. It's so frustrating and it wastes so much of my time. I swear I was on the phone for 15 minutes just doing that straight. And because I live in LA, I don't have service inside my apartment. So I'm outside. I'm sure my neighbors are like, what the fuck is going on? But I'm outside just yelling at my phone, trying to speak to someone. So yeah, that's what I was spiraling about today because I actually hate when that happens. Also, in case you missed it, I posted on social media that we will very shortly be having our first guest on Casually Spiraling. I am so excited. And I wanted you guys to share your either dating stories, bad first dates, hot takes, crazy experiences, dating experiences, whatever it is. I'm keeping them all anonymous. So in case you missed that, I've got some crazy ones so far that I can't wait to share with my guests, and we're going to talk about them, give our takes, and respond to them. So you should probably, if you haven't already, send me either a DM or an email. The email is CasuallySpiralingPodcast@gmail.com, and you can DM Casually Spiraling Podcast either on Instagram or TikTok. I'm keeping them all anonymous. And yeah, send in your fun stories or things to share. I'm really, really excited for this episode. I can't wait to have more guests on, and I think it's going to be really, really fun, and you don't want to miss out, do you? So don't miss out and send your stories, please. We went through a week here in LA where it was raining quite a bit, which is honestly kind of rude because what are we paying rent for here, to be in rain? No, we pay rent here to be in the sun. So I think we should all get some rent money back. It's really kind of rude if you ask me, but it reminded me of a story. And how I mentioned I have a lot of stories and I may just spurt them through episodes. Here's one of them, because anytime that it rains hard and I have to drive in it, I just have trauma flashbacks of this incident on how I drowned my last car. Yes, you heard that right. I drowned my last car. So My first car that I got was a 97 Toyota Avalon. It was older than me. Got me back and forth North Carolina to Pennsylvania so many times when I went to school in North Carolina. It drove me to Atlanta. Literally had not many issues until the last year. It was like a hand-me-down car from my cousin's grandparents. So, yeah, but their grandma like never left the house, so it had no miles on it. Anyway, it got me and did all the things that I need, got me everywhere, got me to college, back and forth, so much. Anyway, so in Atlanta, one time, I think it was in January, we had these like tropical storms. Tropical storms, hurricane warning, something like that. So it was downpouring a lot, and I was driving home from work around 10 p.m. after work, and I was going on an on-ramp, like coming around a bend, and then it merges onto the highway, and going around the bend, I guess a sewer that's on the side of the highway got clogged up, so it was overflowing onto the highway, and there were like cars going in front of me, so I just go, and yeah, the water built up so much, and my car stopped in the water and it wouldn't go. And I was literally in my car. I shouldn't say literally so much. Now that I have a podcast, I hear when I say literally, and that's annoying. I'm sorry. But so I was in the water, in the car was floating back and forth, like swaying. That's how high up the water was. And I was in my car freaking the fuck out. Of course, 2 seconds after I went through it, they closed the road down and blocked it off for other people. But of course, I was the last victim. I had to go through it, and my car was like swaying in the water. I was freaking the fuck out. I call my dad, and it's like 10 p.m. at night, and I call my dad because he like can stay calm during these situations and knows everything. Of course, my mom answers my dad's phone, and I know like she'll freak out too, just as I'm freaking out, because we're like, what the fuck is going on? And it's scary. So of course, she answers his phone, and I'm freaking out. So I just start yelling like, put dad on, because I wanted to go to him because he could remain calm, and I didn't want to freak her out too much, but I was freaking out. Anyway, so he comes on and he's like, well, get out of the car and go to higher ground. I was like, oh yeah, right. Sometimes I just need, like, I know what to do, but I just need someone there with me if I'm alone to be on the phone to get me through it. Yeah, so I get out of the car, and the water's like up to my knees or higher, and I get to higher ground, and I meet someone up there who it had just happened to him in his car a few minutes before I went through it. So we were up on the highway, and I call 911, and like fire trucks and them had to come, and I'm there, so I'm just like there on the highway, and I take a video Snapchat of my car just swaying in the water, literally floating and drowning in the water that was built up so much. And I Snapchat it to like my sisters and stuff, and they're like, oh my God, like they don't know it's my car. They're just like, dang, like Julie's just seeing this car on the highway. They're like, dang, that sucks for that person. I'm like, no, guys, it's my car. That's my car. That was me drowning. And they're like, well, they didn't even realize. And they're like, what? So yeah, 5 firemen had to push my car out. And obviously all the water damage, my car wouldn't start again. So yeah, I drowned my car. And now anytime that it rains a lot, my family and people make fun of me, telling me to make sure I don't drive through any big puddles or any puddles at all. And yeah, that's what I remember every time that it rains a lot, especially in the dark when I have to drive through it, because that's just the worst. But yeah, that's how I drowned my car. Okay, let's get into today's topic. Today I wanted to talk about success and being in your 20s and how it's okay to not have reached your peak or all your dreams and goals and accomplished everything by the time you turn 30. And that it is normal to not have found all that yet in your 20s, even though it seems like society makes us seem like you need to accomplish everything that you have set your life out to be by the time you turn the age of 30. These days, there's very much this hardworking mindset and this hustle culture pushed on people and pressurized, which I think there's pros and cons to that, but it definitely puts a pressure on the fact that you need to reach all these specific points and milestones by the time you turn 30 for no reason. It just like puts that pressure, I think, on a lot of people. And when in reality, your 20s, it's your starting point, not your ending point. You're still figuring out so much. And it's the time to be living your life and experimenting. But yet there's this pressure with social media and hustle culture where if you're not working hard enough, you don't have all these things by the time you turn 30, you're a failure and you haven't made it and you're running out of time and this and that, which is like absolutely ridiculous. So hustle culture, pros and cons for sure, right? Like it's good. People are finding their passions and going after what they want and wanting to work hard at that and do things on their own. Many more entrepreneurs, business creators, a lot of people following maybe jobs or avenues that weren't accessible before. Now with, social media and I don't know, all these creative outlets that have now expanded. I see so many more people just having ideas and knowing what they want and just starting their own companies or their own businesses instead of having to work under someone else. So there is pros for sure. Like there definitely are positives of this passion that people have found and this want to go after what they want and work hard at it and know that you do need to work hard. You can't just let things come to you. But at the same time, this comes with burnout and too much pressure where we forget what's the point of life and forgetting to live your life. And that's the point, to live your life. And the fact that this feeling of you're not enough constantly, if you're not 24/7 working, then you're not doing enough. And that's kind of sad sometimes. And I struggle with this a lot myself. Not working a typical 9-to-5 job, like my money job. I call it my money job because then I also have my careers that are my actual like passions and avenues. So because I have my money job, it's not a strict schedule of 9 to 5. If you have a normal 9 to 5, then you go to work 9 to 5 and you come home and you relax. You don't think about work or do work, and you have your weekends and your time off and you have your whole life. Versus if people are creating a lives for themselves where their job isn't not a normal 9 to 5 and their career and job that they want is separate than the job that's making them money, then I feel like anytime I'm not at my money job, I need to be creating time for my other jobs that I have put on myself, like podcasting, acting, modeling, whatever it may be. It doesn't even have to be, in that industry. But then there's this pressure to, if I'm not constantly, anytime I'm not working, putting in some sort of effort or practice towards one of those avenues, then I'm not doing enough and I'm never going to be successful and I can't take a break. And I don't get my weekends because I don't work a Monday to Friday job. Like I do have to work on the weekends. But then when I'm not working my money job, I don't give myself a break because I'm like, because then I need to be working my other job. So I have to balance all this. And then it's like, when do I rest or find time for balance or friends or have a weekend? Then you just get consumed of it and never do. And I struggle with this so hard, finding balance. I put into ChatGPT the other day, like, can you try and help me create a schedule? Because every single day, I have it in my notes app. People use the calendar. I don't know why. I just use my notes app and write out every single day and write list of everything that I want to do that day. And every single day I overbook myself. So then every day I feel like I'm playing catch up. And then I never have a day where I'm not doing any work at all. And weekends were invented for a reason. Like we're humans and we are designed to need rest and recovery and need a weekend. Like that is normal and that's okay. But I think with hustle culture, we forgot that that's okay. And then that's normal and that's needed and needed for us to perform better when we are working. If we take that rest, then you're going to perform better when you are putting in your 9 to 5 hours working a job versus if you're burning yourself out, then I feel like everything I do is going to be half-assed because I'm tired and I'm overwhelmed and I'm stressed. So I can't fully give my 100% when I am working because I never gave myself a break. It's the same as going to the gym. If you are heavy lifting 7 days a week, you're always going to be sore and tired, and your muscles are going to be in pain, that when you're doing your workouts, you're not going to perform as well because you're in pain and your muscles are telling you to stop. It's the same thing with work and life. And I still don't know how to do this. I still struggle. I still trying to find that balance, and not feeling like I'm not doing enough, and remembering that you are doing enough and it's all going to work out and you are going to find time for everything. But again, like, you need the little bit of hustle culture, because then if people just don't do any work at all and things will just come to them, then of course that's not going to work out. You do have to put in effort and work hard at what you want. But at the same time, remember what's important and that you need a break, and we're designed to need a break and to have a balance of work and life. It's good to have drive and ambitions and go after your dreams, but you also don't want to lose your identity outside of work. And I feel like hustle culture maybe taught us that we need constant productivity in order to deserve success. And if we're not constantly being productive, then we don't deserve success, or it won't come to us, or what we do gain, we haven't deserved, which is kind of crazy. Because we all also deserve to have a little rest and recovery and go outside and have social interactions and enjoy life. That's what everything's about, is enjoying life. It's not about, I don't know. I always think about it how when I die when I am dying, I'm about to die, and look back on my life, what's going to be important? What am I going to think about? Is it going to be money? Is it going to be work? Or is it going to be like how happy I was and who I surround myself with and how much I laughed and enjoyed the time that I have here? That's always going to be more important. And even if your job and career does make you happy, that's great. And it is a passion. That's great too. But I think you also need to find that happiness outside of work, outside of what makes you money. Because, being around people, in the ones you love, and finding love and laughter and all that, it's cheesy, but like, honestly, that's what is most important when you come to the whole scheme of life and your life. And when you look back on it, like when you die, it's not going to matter. Everything else isn't going to matter. And you don't want to waste that. And kind of like what I was saying before, where if you take a rest, then I feel like I perform better when I'm working. Kind of like similarly, if I'm happy outside of my work, with my life outside of my work, I feel like that also makes me a better person in my work. For example, I'm going to be referencing acting just because that's what I do. But if I am happy with my life outside of anything revolving around acting or the entertainment industry, like happy with my life where I'm living, happy with my friends and my relationships, and just happy with myself and love myself, and have my other passions that I like to do that don't revolve anything around that, then I am a better actor when I show up to act or whatever I'm doing. If I'm happier outside, then I'm just better at what I'm doing in work. It just makes me better at the job. It makes me a more positive person to be around when you're in your work environment. It makes me more focused and present in that situation and in my work situations than if I'm overconsumed and my mind is in a million directions, overwhelmed with this pressure of all these things I need to do right now. The lie is that if you're not grinding 24/7, then someone else is going to outwork you. When really, rest fuels creativity, it fuels happiness, it fuels clarity and a clear mind to be able to achieve more success at your work or your job. And if you just have this mindset that you have to be grinding 24/7 and that there's always someone else who's going to outwork you, that's exhausting. Does your mind ever calm down or come to ease? Or that just seems exhausting to me and myself. And a lot of the times, of course, there's competition, but a lot of the times, a lot of us can win. Like multiple of us can all win. We can all win. There's room for a lot of people, and maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration and not always the case, but I think there's a lot of the times room for everyone to be supporting each other and room for everyone to come eat at the table. So it would probably be more beneficial to not worry about others and what they're doing and really just focus on your personal, yes, your grind, but your personal health and balance and rest and what you are doing instead of worrying about what others around you are doing. But obviously, this is all so much harder to do than to say. This is just all the thoughts that I have about being in my 20s and success and what success means and this pressure that I feel a lot of the times and I have struggled with. So these are just all my thoughts that I have accumulated over the years. And on top of that, social media just fuels this hustle culture and this pressure. Social media just fuels it because we all know what everyone posts on social media is their highlights, is their successes. No one's posting the in-between. No one's posting how they got there. No one's posting the hard times. People exaggerate like crazy to make you think that they are at some point or some level that they really are not. And then you are constantly seeing that all through your feed and thinking you are behind and why do they have that and I don't, when really so much of it is so fake. Like hot take, social media is fake, blah, blah, blah. Like, of course it is, but it's so hard to convince yourself that when you're scrolling, my whole timeline is engaged, I'm pregnant, we bought a house. And this is all people who I like grew up with and are my current age. And I'm like, wow, we live very different lives. We are definitely not in the same place at the ripe age of 27. And it's hard sometimes to remind yourself when that is your whole feed and what you're constantly seeing that there's so much more to people than what they're posting. No one's posting the struggles or the behind the scenes. It's really just the pretty picture and the highlight, and who knows what's going on outside of that photo or that video or that one accomplishment. And I don't say that to say you shouldn't be celebrating those wins or posting them or whatever. I think that's great. I think that's great to share and celebrate those accomplishments because some of those things are huge. But just remember when you're scrolling that there's so much more to it. You don't need to be being consumed with just people's highlight reels can be overwhelming and curated and just a false reality of a comparison of where you should be at. And this idea that, since you're not having these certain things, that you're somewhat of a failure at your age in your 20s. And overnight success is not, I swear it's not real. It's, again, also curated. It's made up. It's, yes, again, someone just posts that highlight reel, but you don't see the years, the months, the weeks, the years and years and years of work to get there. It just seems like an over success to the public because overnight they are only finding out this information, but it's not shown. They weren't there for the journey of how they got there. It's fake in everything. In acting, you think an actor overnight is successful. They're not. They've been going to classes for years. They've been auditioning and not getting auditions for years. They've been putting in the work, getting new headshots. And again, sorry, this is all related to acting. That's just what I know. But you just hadn't seen those years of work. So then it's perceived to be an overnight success. And all of a sudden this happening, when to the person itself, I'm sure it feels like, to me, it's like, finally this is happening. Not all of a sudden it's happening, like finally, because I had been grinding and working and doing all this training stuff behind the scenes that you hadn't seen. But to you, it's just like, bam, now I'm here. And whoa, that must have happened to her so quick, when no, it's been years and years and years leading up to it. And I feel like there is sometimes this thing between quiet successes versus loud successes. And a lot of the times people's growth isn't being shouted from the rooftops, and it is maybe invisible. But this kind of goes back and forth on, yes, I think you should celebrate your successes, but then at the same time, I think a lot of people's real successes aren't being shouted from the rooftop. They aren't as out there. Usually a lot of the times the people that are saying like just make things all about them, or like, yeah, I do this and I do this and I was doing this. A lot of the times they're exaggerating to make themselves feel better, and maybe want to make you feel lesser so that they feel higher and better about themselves, when really they're exaggerating and they're not quite where they're making it seem like they are. I've definitely seen this a lot, and I just have to laugh at those conversations of people, and yeah, just kind of have to laugh about it. But it's a good reminder that a lot of the times if someone's being so loud about what they're doing, it's really not as great as they're making it seem. Okay, so going back to the whole point of everything, who actually says we need to have everything by 30? You need to have your dream job. You need to have all this money. You need to already be married and having kids. You need to have bought a house, etc. Like, where did this false narrative come from? And why is it seemed and put on us that, oh, do we just like die when we're 30? So we have to have all this accomplished before then, and that the end of your 20s is the finish line or death or something. And if we don't accomplish these things before we're 30, then they're not going to mean anything, or they're not going to be as great, or that means we're not happy, or this or that. Like, we're not dead after our 30s. After our 20s, we're not dead. Our 20s is not the finish line. It's just the beginning. 20s, you're supposed to be experimenting and figuring out your life and not have it all figured out. If not, then if you're not experimenting, if you're not moving around, if you're not seeing what kind of people you want to be around, trying out different friendships, relationships, trying out different jobs and passions and hobbies, different locations, traveling, this and that, then what are you doing? If everything in your 20s is just about working and grinding and a job, then I'm afraid of looking back on this time and thinking, oh, maybe I missed out, or maybe I wasted a little bit, because then you do have all those, you have responsibilities in your 20s, but then if you do, like, say, have kids or a marriage or you bought a house, then you may have missed a window of opportunity where you had a little more freedom to experiment and do all these things. And yeah, I don't know, just 20s are meant to just begin your life and figure it out, and your adulthood, not finish it, and not feel like you're not enough if you don't in your 20s. Success is also not linear. A lot of the times successes come and go. They go up and down. You have high times, low times. So to think that we all just need to reach this peak in your 20s and that then you're okay from there and you're set is also kind of a lie. It's gonna come in waves and moments and times and ups and downs. So what's the point then of thinking that we need to just go up, up, up and reach this top pinnacle in our 20s, when inevitably it's probably gonna dip and then plateau and then go up again and then maybe down again and up. So then what is the point of putting that pressure on us? I like to listen to the podcast Girls Gotta Eat. They're both women now, 40. One just got married, the other's not married. But anyway, they have this successful podcast and all these businesses that they do, and they weren't in their 20s when they started that or found that. They didn't find this huge success that some may say is their huge success until I think like mid-30s. And now finding it even more in their 40s. And they talk a lot about that. So I guess that's just another podcast shout out that I like to listen to. But yeah, I don't know where this idea came from that 30 is the end. It's the end of it all. But when in reality, most people don't hit all these quote unquote markers or accomplishments by 30. They still have amazing, meaningful, beautiful lives and are happy. And it's not like success is gonna expire out at 30 and we're not going to expire. We don't expire until we die, whenever that is. So hopefully it's later in life. Like, we're not expiring at 30. Our chances for success don't disappear at 30. So I think it's just a good reminder that it's okay where you're at. And we are all on our own timelines. If everyone's timeline looks the same, how boring would life be? If everyone's timeline was exactly the same, how boring and unoriginal and interesting is that? Not so much. We all have our own timeline, and it's all perfect for us personally. We don't have to go along with someone else's or what maybe we're taught is okay or right or wrong. I think as long as you're happy and you're prioritizing that and yourself and who you surround yourself with and all those things, then those quote unquote big successes that we hold this standard to are going to come at the right time and the time that we will be prepared for them. And it doesn't matter when that is, because we have all this joy outside of those time markers. And it is quite like an interesting topic of choosing happiness versus choosing money, when you can obviously have both. And hopefully that's the goal, to be happy doing whatever makes you money. Because I mean, it's naive to think that, I don't know, money is important in certain ways, especially when you get older. You need to be able to support yourself. And I don't know, there's all these crazy things as you get older, like insurance and bills and this and that. But also, there's needs to be happiness outside of that, of course. Very typical thing to say, but it's just like this interesting path, I guess, choosing happiness, what makes you happy, or choosing the thing that is going to make it's guaranteed to make you a lot of money. I feel like a lot of people come to this sometimes when they're deciding what they're going to major in college and what their career and job path that they want to go down. And back when I was little old 18 and even younger than that, it always was like, yeah, well, obviously I'm going to go for acting and film because I don't care about, I just want to be happy, like having money doesn't matter. And I make that decision and go down that path. And I'm glad I did. But also you get older and money becomes more important in certain aspects. And then you're like, oh, fuck, what did I do? But I thought that's just always something interesting to think about, that I had there are people and had friends and stuff where when deciding on what to maybe major in and route to go in, they do go after what they know will make them money. And then a lot of those people I found that a few years into their careers post-college, they're so miserable and are quitting and are rerouting and trying to figure out now what they want, because they initially just went after what they know will make them money, and then they ended up being miserable, and it's not worth it. It's not worth it a lot of the times. So yeah, and so I just find that an interesting topic on which route to go down. Obviously, you want to combine both, but I have a sister who I feel like one sister who we both kind of did this. And so the first sister, my oldest sister, is like a doctor, and that's so great. That's what makes her money. And so top sister, oldest sister, doctor, and then me and my other sister, like, sorry, mom and dad. We want to be, my other sister's like an equestrian, a horse trainer, and I want to be an actress. So you really thought you got lucky with your doctor? Well, we put in a little whirlwind for you. Don't get too settled in having your kids be doctors and lawyers and this and that, accountants. But so yeah, whenever I'm stressed about money, I like to call my sister Jen, because we can just laugh at ourselves and be like, we literally put ourselves in this situation. We're so stressed about money. It's never been on our mind more. And we did it to ourselves. We're like, dang, both of us really you have all this hope and these dreams. And we still do, but it's just funny to look back at when you're 18 and it's literally a thought in your head of, I'm choosing happiness versus money. And then it comes to reality and we're stressed, and we just have to laugh at ourselves, and that we literally put ourselves in this situation. We did it to ourselves, but I just think that's like a funny thing, an interesting thing to talk about, or sorry, to think about. But I still do have that mindset of when I die and look back, I'd rather be happy. Hopefully I can have both things, stability and happiness in what I'm doing. That is the goal. That's always the goal. And even though my career is my passion and I want to be doing that, I want my career to be my passion, still at the end of the day, what's going to be important is people, and that I'm laughing through life, and that the space and my space outside of work and my life outside of work is what I love, even if what your work is what you love too. But I think it's important to have a separation. I always needed a separation from my career path and my outside life, even in small instances, like where I feel like in college or outside of college, there's these like, when you're looking for roommates and friends and stuff, and people find them all in the same like major, like, let's all live together. We're all theater kids, or we're all film kids. Let's have a film house, or be friends with just people in that industry. I'm like, oh my gosh, I like sometimes prefer to have my friends and my life so separate and outside. I want friends with people who know nothing about it or do nothing about it, because I need breaks. You need breaks, even if it is something you love. Putting that pressure on yourself to be working at it or thinking about it or comparing yourself 24/7, if that's all you're consumed with, that's just too much. I need that separation. I'm like, no, like, let me find my friends outside of this path and these hobbies. Let me find my friends and roommates and life completely outside of it. And so I have all this time where I don't have to talk about it at all, even though it's something I love. Don't have to talk about it. Don't have to think about it. Can just be happy and experience otherness. But on the other hand, it is nice to have those few people in your life who are in the same industry, because then you can vent to them or talk to them about your experience, and they know exactly what you're going through, no further explanation needed, and can relate to you on a level that other people won't be able to. So not to say no friends at all in the same industry, because I definitely have friends in the industry, and that is important for that community and that relatability. But just if your whole life outside is also pertaining to the industry, then that can be a lot and overwhelming. And you may be wondering, like, hey, Julie, you're here making a podcast about how your life doesn't peak at 30, how life doesn't peak at 30, and how you don't peak at 30, and yet you're still only 27. Like, who are you? Like, why are you talking about this yet? And I think I'm talking about it because I'm in the middle of it. I'm 27, getting on the later side of 20s, almost 30. And I'm not rich. I'm not in a relationship. I work at a restaurant job. I was working at a Starbucks before this. And there's all these things where at some points I think about, wow, I am 27 and I'm still here. And sometimes I'm really embarrassed by that. So I feel like I wanted to talk about this because it's something I'm actively reminding myself of and learning of in the moment and through. So I thought maybe some other people my age could relate to that. And then if people older than me have wisdom, that'd be great too. But I just wanted to share what I'm currently experiencing, because then I thought that other people may currently be experiencing as well. And hopefully if we can save ourselves while we're in the middle of it, then we can enjoy this time and not have to be miserable in our 20s or so hard on ourselves in our 20s, thinking we're not enough or haven't accomplished enough. But I don't know if I mentioned this on here, but how this podcast, I committed to it and how it started was because I got laid off. So I was working at Starbucks for 4.5 years before I got laid off in the end of September. And I'd always wanted to do a podcast. I'd been trying to get out of Starbucks, but I hadn't found a job. And I had been writing podcast ideas and episode ideas and outlines, but I always just thought I need more money to do it. I need more time, this and that. And then I got laid off and I was like, well, I have a lot of extra time that was unplanned for. So I feel like it's now or never. I might as well commit 100% to that. But that's kind of how this podcast came to me fully committing to it and just doing it and going after it, was because I did get laid off and I had some extra time on my hands where I wanted to commit to these ideas and dreams of mine. But I was so embarrassed to tell people that I worked at Starbucks. Even I would like enhance the term like, oh yeah, I'm a manager. Really, I was a shift manager, aka a shift lead. But I was so embarrassed to be telling people that at 26, 27, I work at a Starbucks, even though that wasn't my drive. That was just giving me insurance. That was giving me money and flexibility to be able to pursue what I'm actually going after. But I feel like I had to go in this spiral and explain that to people. Otherwise, I just would feel embarrassed. And then when I got my current job, that still is I'm a host at a fine dining restaurant in Beverly Hills. So still being in this kind of industry for a second, when I didn't get certain other jobs that I was pursuing, I'm like, I'm so embarrassed. I wanted to finally had a job where I wasn't embarrassed to tell people I'm doing at 27. So I still go through that all the time. I'm still sometimes think to myself, what the fuck am I doing with my life? What am I doing? I'm 27 and I'm living with roommates and just moved to this big expensive city and working in restaurant industry. But no, sometimes I have those thoughts. So anyway, kind of long story on why I wanted to do this episode. And maybe if you're thinking, why am I talking about that, or have the right to talk about this yet? But that's my personal experience and my thoughts all the time. So that's why I wanted to talk about it. And I also think I wanted to add in a little note that I forgot to add in when I was talking about choosing happiness versus money. Obviously, a lot of privilege comes with that. I was just trying to go off of my experience, but a lot of people do have to go certain routes if they're responsible for supporting others or supporting their families. So obviously, I had the privilege of being able to go after I want and having my parents help me go to a college out of state and this and that. So I wanted to be transparent with that, especially on these topics. Just having the choice of choosing a career that maybe brings happiness and not so much money is a privilege in itself. So there are a lot of outside factors to all of this always. So in conclusion with all of this, 20s are for building and not finishing. You're just getting started. It's building your foundation for life. You're supposed to experiment and make mistakes and pivot and learn who you are in this time. You don't have to be settled down in all these certain markers of time. Success later, I say later in life. It's not even later. It's still young, whatever. Success at any time after your 20s is normal. And that's where most people find it. And it's okay to not put that pressure on yourself. And most people take years and years to align their passions and their skills and their life circumstances into one and into something that all flows and supports each other. That takes so much time to make all those different aspects of life align. And it's okay if you don't have your dream job yet, if you haven't reached financial stability, if you feel behind and are still figuring out on who you are and who you're becoming, it's all okay. You need to enjoy the journey. This is so cheesy. But something else I also remind myself, you have to enjoy your time of getting to your quote unquote goal. You have to enjoy that time. Otherwise, what's the point? And are you even going to be happy once you reach that certain goal if you didn't enjoy the time where you're going after it and the horrible word journey? If you're not enjoying the journey to get to that destination, then you're going to blink and it's all going to be over and you're going to have missed it and you're going to have missed out and you're going to, feel empty and feel a hole and have missed on opportunities of living and just enjoying your life and enjoying at what comes at you and the changes that come with life and the new experiences and the lessons and all that. So don't blink and miss out. Try to stay present and enjoy the path that it takes to get to certain destinations. Otherwise, then what are you doing with your life and living it? So anyway, that's all from me today. I'm 27 and here I am sitting on the floor of some apartment because I'm working. How many jobs do I have? This is one of a million jobs that I have just to be able to support myself. And yeah, and I'm okay. And I'm single and I'm where I'm at currently and present. And yes, it's all okay. And things can just go up. There's no pressure. And now I am rambling and I don't know how to finish this. So we're just going to finish it. And thank you for listening. Please comment, please like, please subscribe, please share, follow all the things. I want to build this community as much as I can. And I'm having so much fun and so happy doing it. So bye for now. Ta-ta.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.